Hello, Russell Patterson.
Hello, Mr. Earl.
I'm so happy to have you here after so many
I'm
years.
happy to be here.
Yes, yes,
I
yes.
didn't even know you were here.
Yes. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in primarily my longest term was here in Harlem,
Okay, where in Harlem?
153rd Street and St. Nicholas Avenue.
All right.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to go to Lenox Avenue. I was
Really?
13 when I went to live with my dad, and yeah, Lenox Avenue was like crazy.
Okay, see, I
That's
didn't
when.
know Linux until what, 1998, really,
Okay, no,
and it had
I
changed.
got here in 60s.
Okay, so it was a different kind of party.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It was definitely the folks on the street corner.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
I just remember when we used to go to see my aunt in the Bronx because I lived in Queens, came from Queens.
okay,
We would come over the Triborough Bridge,
okay.
and then we go across 125th Street.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those lock the doors. It was
Yeah,
crazy out
depending.
there.
Yeah, once
Anyway, when did music come into the picture?
actually, I always sang as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I would, whenever the family got together, and I felt like, you know, I wanted to show off.
You would
I would,
sing,
I would just go around the house dancing like 5, 6, and they used to mess with me and let me,
perform.
puff me up, and
Mm-hmm.
so that kind of. But then I became like quiet. I don't know what happened. It made me become like this bookworm.
Oh,
I
really?
was always reading something, and they started calling me Uncle Russell
So
because I was acting more older than my cousins
mm-hmm.
at the time. But music in earnest came when I came to live here in Harlem with my dad,
Mm-hmm.
and I told him I wanted to sing, and he enrolled me in the Harlem School of the Arts. Yeah,
Okay, see, that's
so I was
that
in
was a
there.
good move.
Yeah, I was in there um, at 13, 14.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which
at
is
that time,
great time.
there was no building. It was just in the church. The
Oh,
lady
okay.
who started it, she
Mm-hmm.
started it in the church. So my classes were in the church. And she started teaching me opera.
Mm-hmm.
And after 3 or 4 months, I told my dad, I'm going to sing that mess. So I was unenrolled from Harlem School of the Arts.
Oh, it was a brief stay.
Yes, brief stay.
Uh-huh. And then after that, you just kept singing on your own.
After that, there was a young lady in my building
Mm-hmm.
who was a singer. And at this point, I was 15 and she was, I think, 17, 18. And Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell were, you know, having a hit record time.
Mm-hmm.
So she decided she knew I could sing. So she said she wanted me and her to copy them.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go upstairs to her house and we would sing Tammy Terrell and Marvin Gaye songs.
All right now.
Yeah. And then at that point, another neighbor, this guy who lived in the first floor, he was like my age. He told me about um, these guys in Esplanade who were starting a group.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Would you want to join with me?" So I said, "Yeah, well, I'll go." We went down to Esplanade and met um, Todd. This guy, he introduced me to his friend Todd,
Mm-hmm.
and Todd had two other guys. So I auditioned, and they put me in a group.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny story is, Leroy Burgess from my group, Black Ivory,
Mm-hmm.
was their manager.
So funny.
So we were all like 17 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes in and he's like, being all official and stuff. I'm looking at him, skinny little thing. What are you gonna do?
I know another kid. It's like
Right?
really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that group stayed together. They were called Shades of the Mellow Souls because at the time Black Ivory was called Mellow Souls,
Okay.
and it was one of the members of Black Ivory at the time. That was Todd was his little brother.
Mm-hmm.
So we got together and sang for Leroy, and then Black Ivy started having issues of people who were graduating high school and wanting to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
So Leroy talked to Stewart and a couple other members of the group and asked, one guy was going, and they asked if, I could audition for them. So that's how I got into Black Ivy.
Okay. So we'll get there. Who are your inspiration? I mean,
At that time,
yeah.
my first record that I purchased was Jackie Wilson,
Jackie Wilson.
Higher and Higher.
Mine was ABC, the Jackson 5.
Well, you were a little younger than
me. Yeah, but so what?
yeah, that was my first, and it was interesting because when I was like young, my aunt took me to Apollo, and he
Mm.
was the headliner.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I guess, him seeing him perform
Yeah.
made me want to buy his record.
And that's super inspirational to actually see somebody that you like
Yeah,
perform.
and he was, I mean, he was a great performer.
Mm-hmm.
That's what his reputation was, besides a great voice.
Well, that was like Prince for me because I didn't really care for Prince so much
Mm-hmm.
until when I was living in Rome. We went to see him.
Oh no, he was amazing.
My God.
Yeah,
And such an energy force that, because of course he would have a whole bunch of things going on at the
right.
same time on stage, but when he would disappear, you could feel it.
Oh, okay.
It's like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? And then he would come back and be like, ah, Prince. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was interesting. I wasn't really. I was a fan of the first two albums,
Mm-hmm.
and then he started veering off and doing other stuff. But I saw him live, and he was.
He's on the money.
Yeah, yeah.
What a talent.
Yes.
So, the Black Ivory,
Mm-hmm.
what was that experience like? Because I imagine that it just kept going bigger, getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
No, it was interesting because when I did get with the group
Mm-hmm.
is when they had done demos,
Mm-hmm.
and their manager was shopping the demos around.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got with the group, they had done talent shows, and they performed with Kool and the Gang, because at that time Kool and the Gang didn't have a lead singer, and
Mm-hmm.
Black Ivy would open up for them.
Okay.
Yeah. So then when I got in, they had the demos going around, and within, I think it was 3 or 4 months, we got a deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I lucked out, basically.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it was just divine.
Yeah, it was. That's
Yeah.
what it was meant to be.
Right. So we got the record deal, and we were still in high school, 11th grade,
That's amazing.
and we would go to the record company after school, Stuart and I, and hang out because our manager was also our producer.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd go to the record company, hang out in the afternoon sometime, and just, so it wasn't like it was we were on the road, or we were like blew up, because the record company was a small company,
Okay.
and the distribution was primarily on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So Don't Turn Around came out, and we just was still walking down the street, and it came out in April.
Mm-hmm.
So through the whole summer, it started progressing, getting airplay and stuff like that. So when we went back to high school for our 12th grade, the principal of the school played our record over the loudspeaker the first day. So that was like like saying, okay, this is interesting. This is a change. Because
Mm-hmm.
after that, the people who were paying me no mind in the
All of a
11th
sudden,
grade,
it's like, ooh, wrestle, wrestle,
yeah,
wrestle.
right.
Uh-huh.
Oh, let me sit next to you.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it wasn't like a big thing. Is we were still, our manager was our producer, and so we would go and do shows at different places. Our first gig was with Gladys Knight,
Mm-hmm.
and on the tour we went on tour with her.
But that's big. I mean,
But the tour at that time was like 3 places. We went.
Oh,
We were
okay.
here in New York, we went
Mm-hmm.
to DC, and we went to another city. But it was a big thing for us because we were
Right.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you felt your life changing. But you know what I find funny? Because I know even like with my situation,
Mm-hmm.
you're in a situation, it doesn't feel like anything in particular. You're just moving and going along
Right.
with it. But in hindsight, when you look back, it's like, wow, that was a big deal.
Yes, that is true. Yeah.
While it's happening, it feels like nothing.
Well, it felt like a little bit, but it wasn't like life changing. Like, in your mind,
Mm-hmm.
the star is born, all of a sudden you're like, bang.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that, but definitely in hindsight, it was.
It's a big deal.
It was a big blessing because,
Mm-hmm.
I have friends who sing too, and they never got that opportunity.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And that's what it is opportunity.
yes.
Yes. So this is an existential kind of question. Why do you sing?
As far as I know, it's a gift.
Yeah, it is.
And my initial reason for singing, which I didn't say before, was I went to see Bye Bye Birdie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I want to be like him. Elvis Presley.
Mm-hmm.
And when I tell people that, they're like, "What?" But yeah, he was the one who was really instrumental in me wanting to be a singer, a
Mm-hmm.
professional singer. But I mean, like I said, when I was young, I was singing around the house, just messing with my
Mm-hmm.
family and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that was in me because
Yeah.
nobody else in my family sings.
Oh, okay. What do you think the purpose of music is?
Well, like they said on the Grammys the other day, music is for all people,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a way to lift us up and to commune.
Yeah.
And you know, the powers that be have since beginning of time tried to music to separate us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what Alicia Keys said last week was, music is for everybody.
Yeah.
The
Mm-hmm.
genre is just to keep us all like Beyonce actually said it. The genre putting a label to it is to keep us in our place because
Yeah.
real R&B, quote unquote, is for black people,
Black people. Right.
but country started by black people
Right.
and
And then
other races
yeah.
is now supposedly a lily white genre.
Mm-hmm. And the irony of the whole situation is how they shut her out of the CMAs.
Oh, that was
That was like talk about poetic justice.
talk about karma.
Yeah. She got the Grammy for the
And I mean,
best
even
country.
she was surprised.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Yes.
to get a Grammy, her first album of the year for a country
A
album.
country album. Right. Who would have thought?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, she's been around 25 years. I didn't realize it's been that long.
I know. The time flies.
And she's had 13 albums.
Wow.
Yeah, I
13?
didn't know that. Yeah, 13. That's what they said on the news the other day.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well.
And now what they're also trying to do is they don't want any more black superstars.
I've noticed it's interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because, the 70s and 80s
Gave us superstars.
gave us superstars, and the rock people and the pop people were like, starving.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't want that no more.
Well, make better music.
They make good music.
Good music, but make better music than what we're doing.
Well, that's true. That's true, yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
you make what you hope people like to hear.
Right.
And if they happen to like the black artist because they're making something better, to me, that says maybe you need to make something better than that.
The thing about it, and I mean, it's hard for me to say, is I don't think they always know how.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's even our slang and our style,
Well,
is picked up and utilized to
right.
their advantage.
Right. When we do it, we're ghetto and everything negative. But
right.
when they do it, it's like, ooh, ah.
Yeah.
No, it's kind of crazy.
Well, it's not nothing new.
No, that is true. That is true. So what are you working on now?
I put out a solo CD.
I had gotten your single that you did maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Okay.
Thank you. You might be one of the 5.
No.
See, my thing right now is I don't really promote. I've always been like laid back, and so for me to be out and like, okay, look at me, do me, watch me, all of that.
Yeah, but you don't have that energy.
Yeah,
right.
That's hard for me to do, and people keep saying, well, you need to get over that. Because if you want people to hear your music, you need to like slap them in the face with it.
Yeah, I grappled with that also.
Yeah.
Because I like my privacy, and I'm not that type that's gonna run up with you. Here's my resume. Here's my song.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that's just not me.
Yes, me neither.
But in order to be somewhat in the game, you have to kind of open the door a little.
Right. Definitely.
And that for me was the hardest to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
to
did you decide?
Well, it just came to a point. Either you're going to do this or not.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I guess
I'm
not getting to that point.
Yeah, it's like it's nice that you're making music, but it's like who's hearing it?
Right. Yeah. That's true.
And you can only hide but so much from the public.
That's true too.
So it's like, And nowadays with Instagram, Facebook, and everything else, your life is up there and out there anyway.
That is very true.
So have at it.
I will the next one, but I'm working on a new. I was thinking, I'm kind of like torn because
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to do some decluttering in my house,
Mm-hmm.
and I found a box which was labeled books, but when I opened it, it was cassettes.
Mm-hmm.
And when Black Ivy broke up back in the when Stuart and I broke up like in '85,
Mm-hmm.
I started working with other people, so I have like a whole bunch of cassettes of songs that I wrote and sang and produced with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm working right now on putting them, like kind of updating them and putting
Yeah.
them out.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of them are nice.
No, if you, I mean, well, the beauty of it is that when you do make music,
Mm-hmm.
and especially over time, you actually do compile a real catalog of stuff
Right.
that sometimes you've even forgotten about it. But then you come
I
across
did.
this box of
Yeah.
cassettes and you open it, it's like, wow, that was good.
Yeah, I have like a whole bunch of cassettes. I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so the guy I'm working with, I took him to him and he's a house guy.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, well, these are dated. I said, that's what I want. People like 80s and 90s sound.
Well, quiet as it's kept, Bruno Mars.
Well, yeah.
Um,
No, he definitely capitalized. He was smart.
yeah.
I mean, he filled a niche.
He built a niche. Alicia Keys also, to a certain
Oh,
degree.
no, yeah, she has her own sound.
Um, I just don't find it original. And that's just me because we lived it.
Right.
So I
But
think
the
that
radio stations are
they
still
don't know
playing
the
it.
difference. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they still. Urban radio is still playing music from the. Well, right now they're playing music they claim from the 2000s,
Mm-hmm.
but they still throw some 90s and 80s in there.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have any new things because we don't own the radio stations,
Yeah.
and that's where they're keeping us in place because
Yeah.
if the
Wow.
radio stations were black owned like they were in the 70s and 80s, the new product that all because there's a whole bunch of R&B artists.
Mm-hmm.
If you go on YouTube and
Yeah.
type in a name like this guy, I was just like one day at the gym and I saw Kenyon Dixon, and I said, "Why does it put your name Kenyon?"
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Well, let me listen to his stuff. He's amazing."
Yeah. There's a
He,
lot of really amazing stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he's also one who did a '70s EP. He did some '70s music and did an
Mm-hmm.
EP released it. I think last like 7 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna do that to us because they're afraid that we're gonna take over the industry again.
Wow. All right. So speaking of taking over,
Mm-hmm.
um, the landscape that we're living in now, protest, whatnot. I always find that art is the best form of protest.
Oh yes.
How do you feel about that? Do you?
Well, I'm actually an artist too. That's why I was loving
Mm-hmm.
everything up in here.
Mm-hmm.
And one piece I just actually I did it. Yeah, I was gonna bring you a sweatshirt too of
Oh.
the piece, but I didn't know how you would take it. But
Oh Lord, what is it?
it's a piece that I finally finished because it needed something.
Mm-hmm.
But I called it if I was white.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and it's this guy who is in prison,
Mm-hmm.
and it has all the names of the people who were killed during.
Russell, I want my sweatshirt.
Yeah, so
Wow, that sounds amazing.
yeah, so that's my thing. I do stuff like that. And Leroy Burgess in my group,
Mm-hmm.
we write together, and we wrote two songs, kind of um, to in essence to what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is called Skin,
Mm-hmm.
and it's basically the chorus is, what's up with you? And he says, well, what's the problem? He says, well, it's the skin I'm in.
Oof.
And then another one is called Nothing's Gonna. He took the part from